Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. I'm Gabby and I like to talk about books. Okay, so today I'm gonna go through everything I read in July and in June. June was only 2 books, so we're just gonna wrap it all up together. Okay, so I'm gonna go, well, obviously I'm gonna go in order, and then I'm gonna tell you guys what I thought about the books. So the first book I read in June was Beach Read by Emily Henry. I gave this book 3 stars. Disclaimer, I think Emily Henry is a fantastic author. I think she does banter like nobody else. Her banter is so witty and entertaining and fun. I start getting witty in my real life. But for some reason, I feel like this was longer than it needed to be, and I thought that a story that was so captivating and not even necessarily realistic, but to the point where it's like, I believe their story, the ending ruined it for me. It just was not believable, and I get it, not all books have to be believable, you know, they're books, but it just didn't feel right. It didn't feel like it fit with who the characters were. It felt like it was wrapped up together in a pretty little sweet bow to be delivered, and maybe that was like on purpose because of the so let me tell you guys what it's even about. So it's about January and Gus, and they're both authors, and January's dad dies, and she goes to like this beach house, lake house, beach house. Yeah, beach house. And she's in like a writer's slump because she finds out like things, her dad wasn't her dad wasn't who she thought he was, but then she like realizes that Gus is her neighbor, and it was like prior rivals in college, like writing, so it's like enemies to lovers type of trope. Basically they downplay like each other's genre of writing. Gus writes classic fiction and January writes romance, and they kind of downplay each other, so then they challenge each other to write a story in each other's like genre. And I really thought Gus's side of the story was really cool. I almost think I liked his more. I think I did like his more. His was very interesting and it pulled me in, but like I said, I felt like it was too long for what it was, and I think the ending just completely, I couldn't go for it. But still, good read, great author. I've read Book Lovers by her and Happy Place, and I intend to read her other novels as well. Okay, so the next book I read in June, the next and the last book I read in June was The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Lori Gilmore. This is the first book in the Dream Harbor series. I gave this book 3 stars. So basically this tells the story of Jeannie and Logan. Jeannie is a woman from Boston, and she's used to a fast-paced, high-speed corporate lifestyle, and Logan is a local farmer in Dream Harbor, this cute, quaint, small town. It was enjoyable. 3 stars is not a bad rating. 3 stars just means like I liked it, I enjoyed it, I would recommend it. It just, like, I'm not gonna carry it with me, you know what I mean? But so Jeannie's aunt ends up deciding she doesn't want to run the Pumpkin Spice Cafe anymore. She wants to adventure off and wistfully, I don't know, go enjoy her life elsewhere and vacation around. So Jeannie takes over the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, moves from high-speed Boston to Dream Harbor, and is just learning the town, learning the people. This is so cozy, this is so atmospheric. It's in the fall time, if you're not able to guess, and she meets Logan, and it just goes from there. Like I said, super cute, super cozy. I was excited to pick it back up and read it. It was just it was insta-lovey. Their first kiss didn't feel right. Like it didn't hit like it was supposed to. Yeah, and it was just a little bit fast-paced for my taste, and it's I don't mind spice in books, but it's kind of weird when like the characters are one way, but then when the spice scene comes, like they're like completely like they're a different person, and it's kind of like, where did that come from? You know, cool, but that's not you. Like, what's the goal of this? Still cute. Like I said, this is book 1 in the Dream Harbor series. I think the second one is called the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore Cafe, and I think it comes out early September. So I'll definitely be picking it up. Okay, like I said, that's all I read in June. June was a very, very busy month. So moving into July. Okay, in July, I read 4 books and 5 short stories. The first book I read, I don't actually have it with me because I loaned it to my grandma. But I read A Court of Thorns and Roses, first book in the ACOTAR series, and I gave this book 4 stars. I did not know what I was getting myself into with this series. Oh my goodness. I love the first book. I know some people say the first book isn't their favorite and that they think it's kind of boring. I didn't find that to be true at all. I loved the first book. The only reason it wasn't 5 stars is because I just didn't. You know how sometimes when you read a 5-star book, you just get that feeling? I just didn't have that feeling. That's honestly, this is probably a 4.5 or a 4. 4.25. The detail or the descriptions of the setting was great. It jumped into action pretty fast. The last part of the book was insane. If anyone doesn't know what it's about this 19-year-old huntress named Feyre, and basically there's mortal realms and then fairy realms, and Feyre goes into the woods to hunt food for her family. They're extremely poor, and Feyre usually goes in, hunts, brings back the meat, and that's how her family eats. So she's in the woods and it's cold, and she ends up killing a wolf, brings it back, boom, turns out the wolf is actually Fae, and then she gets, for, you know, I guess in a treaty between fairies and humans, it's life for life. So she gets taken to the fairy realms where she is supposed to live out the rest of her days in exchange for taking that wolf's life. And that absolutely does not do the plot justice, but that's enough to get you started. I don't want to give any too much away because I don't want to spoil anything. And also I plan to do, once I finish the entire series, I plan to do a book talking about my thoughts on the series. Right now I'm in A Court of Silver Flames, so the last book in the series that's been released so far. From what I've heard, it's an unfinished series, so I'm in the last one that's out so far. Following that book, I of course had to pick up Akamoth. Are we doing that? Is it just ACOTAR, or is it like Aka, like whatever the court is abbreviated? But A Court of Mist and Fury. Oh my god. This book, this was 4.75. Again, only reason not a 5 stars because I didn't get that like feeling, like that life-changing feeling. This book, again, I don't want to give too much spoilers away, but this goes into, you learn so much more about the world and about like the main like love interest, just detailing Feyre's journey. It does explore PTSD in a beautiful way where it shows healing is not linear and it's okay to falter sometimes. I really like how Sarah J. Maas handled that. I like how she handles PTSD. Actually, throughout all of the books I've read so far, she makes it a point that the characters don't just immediately move on to the next thing, which I like because it's pretty realistic. I smell chicken noodle soup. Okay, I'm sick of that. I love this. So far, this has been my favorite book in the entire series. I would definitely recommend this series to anyone. Probably like, this book gets kind of spicy, so I would be a little bit older before you pick this up. But yeah, phenomenal writing. I love Cassian. Oh my gosh, I love Cassian. Okay, and then the next things I read were actually short stories. I read them on my Kindle. Oh my gosh, my stickers are coming. I ordered some stickers, but I don't want to put any on until they're all here. But I'm just waiting for one more package and I'm going to decorate my Kindle. I'm so excited. They're all from, it's this like little series called like the Meet Cute. I'm sure someone's heard of it. But it's like the improbable, what is it? Yeah, the improbable Meet Cutes. Basically, a bunch of different romance authors. I think there's 6 in the series and I read 5. So a bunch of different romance authors kind of each wrote one short story about just a meet cute between 2 people. If you don't know what a meet cute is, because I didn't, it just tells the story of how 2 characters meet. And then it doesn't give you the rest of the book. It's just them like meeting and like realizing they like each other and about to start something up, and then it cuts. I think each one is like, I think the longest one was like 100 pages. The first one I read was The Exception to the Rule by Christina Lauren. I gave that 4 stars. So far, I have loved everything that Christina Lauren has written. They are wonderful authors. Love in Other Words, chokehold. It's basically about this boy and girl. Oh, and all of these stories take place on Valentine's Day. And I think they're all in the same universe. I think. So it starts off with a boy emailing a girl on Valentine's Day, and he thinks that he's emailing a professor. So he's typing some school email up, and she emails back saying, oh, I'm actually not a professor, you know, blah, 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 but happy Valentine's Day. But then so every year for X amount of years, I don't even know, like 10 years or something, they email back and forth only on Valentine's Day, and they have a rule of like no sharing personal information. But obviously as the years go on, they start to tell more and more about themselves. They start telling each other about their dating lives, and then they meet, and actually the way they meet is, it's really cute and it's funny. So the next books, like all of the ones I read, are going to be, I read all the short stories back to back. The next one I read was The Worst Wingman Ever in the Meet Cute series by Abby Jimenez, and I gave that one 4 stars as well. So it's about a woman named Holly, and she is a hospice nurse, and she's actually taking care of her grandmother who is going to be passing away soon. And she finds a note on her car one day, and it's again on Valentine's Day, and it's like a funny note, but the guy who delivered it was delivering it for his friend or brother, I don't know, but he accidentally left it on the wrong car. He accidentally left it on Holly's car. He was supposed to leave it on someone else's car, but she finds it, and I guess because of what was on the note was so like weird or vulgar, he writes another letter and puts it on her car again, like that same day or something, because he keeps seeing her car. They're in the same like parking lot, and then she finds it and like writes a note back and leaves it on her car, and they keep writing each other little notes, and it's so cute. And I really love, I've yet to read Abby Jimenez's like actual book. I have some of her books, I just haven't picked it up yet, but I've heard that Abby really usually laces in like some real topics, like harder hitting topics, and with her stories, and that was definitely rang true in this one. Like I said, the main character is a hospice nurse, and Abby handled it beautifully. So the next short story in the series that I read was Rosie and the Dreamboat by Sally Thorne. I gave this one 3 stars. So this one, it was cute, it was enjoyable. I'm not sure Sally Thorne's writing is for me. It's about this girl named Rosie and her sister go to a spa on Valentine's Day, and they're supposed to be going into like a float tank where like you go in and like it's like an anti-gravity tank, and you're in there with the water and all the lights are off, and like a lid goes over you. In the story they describe it like a giant toilet bowl. Her giant toilet bowl thing gets locked and she can't get out, so they end up calling the fire department, and the firefighter that comes, I guess he's so handsome that they call him Dreamboat. He basically is talking to her through the lid while she's trapped in there, trying to keep her calm until they can get her out. And the banter is awesome. The connection, you can like feel the chemistry. The only, like, my biggest thing is the main, like, the FMC kept talking, like, down on herself, like, in her inner monologue and out loud, like, to this guy that she's talking to and clearly interested in. She's like, well, you know, you probably like my sister better. Oh, like, my sister looks so much better. Guys always pick my sister. Like, sis, stand up. Stand up. So yeah, that really bugged me. That's a big reason why it wasn't higher than a 3 stars. And the beginning was kind of just monotonous, it felt like. Okay, so the next one I read in the series was Drop, Cover, and Hold On by Jasmine Gilroy. I gave this one 2 stars. I did not enjoy this story. It felt like work to get through it, and it was under 100 pages, and it took me 2 days. This is my second work that I've picked up from Jasmine Gilroy. I just don't think her writing is for me. It's very insta-lust. So far, none of the other short stories I've read had, like, a spice scene, but hers did. Which, I mean, whatever. Like, again, I'm not anti-spice. I just... insta-lust never does it for me. She makes it a point that the MMC calls out that the FMC better not lose weight, or better not be trying to lose weight, or something like that. And I don't know, something of... I just wish there was more depth to it. The writing feels very unrealistic and surface level, but they are all over each other by, like, page 3. I probably won't pick up something of hers again. Okay, and the next one I read was With Any Luck by Ashley Poston, I'm not sure, but I gave this one 3 stars. So it's about this man and this woman, and their best friends are getting married, and the girl, the FMC, her best friend is the groom, and the MMC's best friend is the bride. So it's like they are the best man and the maid of honor, but genders, like traditional genders, are reversed. This was cute. It wasn't anything crazy. Basically, they have hooked up a while ago, but then he never called her back, and she thinks it's because she has this curse where if she kisses someone, she kisses them, and then they go off and they meet their soulmate after her. But basically, they meet up because it's like the day before the wedding, so the bachelor party and the bachelorette party have to happen. But then they wake up the next morning and the groom is missing. But the FMC has no recollection of what happened the night before because it was the bachelor party and they were all drunk, and she doesn't remember. So the FMC and the MMC work together and figure out what the heck happened to the groom. Okay, the next book I read in July was A Court of Wings in Ruin. Yes, I've been eating this series up. However, this book was 3 stars. It felt so disappointing to go from 2 really great, enjoyable books that I could not put down to a book that felt like a bit of a chore to get through. Not a chore, because it started off way good. And maybe this is 3.5. We'll give it 3.5. It just felt so convenient. Like, everything that was happening was just kind of like, oh, how convenient that this is there to use. It felt heavily reliant on the magic system, which, I mean, it's fantasy. Of course it's going to be reliant on the magic system, but I think something that was so admirable about the other 2 books is that Feyre had to get creative on how to do things. This one just didn't feel... I mean, it was extremely high stakes, but it just, like I said, it just felt convenient. Like, everything was so convenient to the point where it almost got corny. Again, I won't go too far into it because I don't want to give any spoilers, but this is the book where I kind of started not so much liking FMC and the MMC. I don't want to, like, say the MMC's name because it could be a spoiler for someone who doesn't really know anything about the series. Yeah, I mean, it was good. It was high stakes. Again, I love Cassian. Very enjoyable, but like I said, I just didn't like thing. I don't want to like give too much away, but I didn't like how much it was like, oh, we'll just talk like this. Like, just speak out loud. Just speak out loud. I felt like it was too much. It was doing the most with it. But yeah, 3.5. Okay, and the last book I read in July was The Inmate by Frida McFadden. I gave this 3.5 stars. Very enjoyable. Got me out of a slump. It's basically about this nurse named Brooke, and she starts to go be a nurse at a maximum security prison where, shocker, she knows one of the inmates. Her ex-boyfriend is in there for murder, and she is the one, her testimony is what put him there. So it goes through her working there, having to treat the prisoners, and of course eventually treating him. Twisty and turny, typical Frida McFadden fashion. Like I said, very fast paced, very entertaining. I really enjoyed this book. 3.5 because it's you know, it's a bingeable, fast paced thriller. There wasn't anything crazy deep about it, but I can always count on one of Frida's books to get me out of a book slump, or if I just am in the mood to just read something, just whatever, I can pick up one of her books and I know I'm going to have a great time. Okay guys, that is it. That is all the books I read in June and July. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you read any of the books, let me know what your thoughts on them are. I'm hoping to finish the ACOTAR series this month. We'll see. I guess that's it. Cool. I will see you guys next time. Bye.